What's up, guys? My name is Zack, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2025 Chevy Equinox RS. Up front is a 1.5-liter turbocharged inline-4, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I've reviewed the 2025 Equinox here on the channel before. That was an LT trim level in the same Lakeshore blue from a dealer, but this was actually a press car. I got to drive it for 7 days, where the dealership reviews, I only get to drive them for about an hour. So I have a lot more drive time in this RS, and that's gonna feed into my final thoughts. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 1.5-liter turbo under the hood. Well, it's from the outgoing generation of Equinox, and this is really where the trouble starts for the Equinox. I'm not a big fan of the 1.5-liter, mainly because it only makes 175 horsepower, which isn't a terrible number, and it gets out of its own way, but highway merging wasn't the most graceful, and naturally aspirated competitors like the Mazda CX-5 make 186 horsepower, or 191 depending on year, at their base level, with an option to go into the 200s. The Equinox only gets the 1.5-liter. The 2.0 is gone. And so I would have liked to have seen a 2-liter turbo in this, especially because it is the RS. So I'm not a big fan of that. Like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission, and I am a big fan of that because it's not a CVT. If you buy the Equinox with front-wheel drive only, you get a CVT. But if you buy it with all-wheel drive, like this particular model, you get an 8-speed automatic. And so I've always left it up to the consumer. If you want all-wheel drive, go for it. If you want front-wheel drive, go for it. But this time, I am going to tell you I would highly recommend the all-wheel drive over the front-wheel drive for that transmission option. Well, like I just gave away, this is all-wheel drive. However, there is front-wheel drive available. How does it feel to drive the Equinox RS? It's fine. It does the job. It's nothing groundbreaking here. Steering is a little bit heavy, and like I said, throttle is a little bit numb, but this is a volume seller and a vehicle for the masses. Chevy knows that. So it's easy to drive and it's easy to see out of. It's a very good size. And so whether you buy one or rent one on your next vacation, it's gonna be easy, it's gonna be simple, and it's gonna work. And those are some great attributes for the Equinox. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster. Now, I like parts of this and despise others. I like how it's laid out. I think it's clean, I think it's simple, it's easy to read at a glance, and that's how gauge clusters should be. What I don't like is that it's very confusing going through all the different pages. It's not very intuitive. However, once you find your favorite page, you can leave it on that and call it a day. But trying to figure it out, trying to pluck through it all, I'm still not sure I was able to find all of the settings that I really wanted. On the steering wheel on the left, we have our cruise control options as well as our low gear button. And off to the right, we have our voice commands, phone options, and pages, as well as heated steering wheel. And we do have paddle shifters around the back of this RS specific steering wheel. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent. Love the sort of ombre red here on the vent, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But down below, we do have our power parking brake, all-wheel drive button, auto holding brake, auto start stop on and off, and the gauge dimmer switch. Moving on to the door, we have 2 levels of memory seats, as well as our get out button and lock and unlock. And down below, we have the power mirrors and power windows. Moving into the center, we get a similar screen to the gauge cluster. This is our infotainment screen. And this does come with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and I've really enjoyed that. But it also has Google Maps built in, so even if a phone isn't connected, you get to use my preferred map service, which is Google Maps. The overall Chevy infotainment system is fine. I think it's relatively easy to use, unlike the gauge cluster. And we do have a 360 camera, which has been a fantastic help when backing down my narrow driveway. Off to the right of the infotainment system, we do have more ombre. I said we'd talk about it. Sort of fading red pattern going on the dash. Really, really love that because it doesn't steal your attention. When you look at it, you go, oh, that's pretty nice. Down below that, we have 2 climate control vents, and we have physical climate controls. Not every car from Chevy of this era has physical climate controls, and I'm glad to see that here in the Equinox. We do have ventilated seats as well as heated seats, which is a very nice feature for $38,000. Dual zone climate, fantastic digital readouts that started with the Camaros in the late 2010s. Love this design. And we have our USB-A and USB-C down below with a big cubby and a wireless charger in the center console as well that actually charges my phone, unlike Toyota products. For some reason, Toyotas don't charge my phone, but GM products do. So a tip of the cap there. We also have our drive modes select. So we do get 3 different drive modes in the Equinox for normal, off-road, and snow/ice. I love the graphics that come up when you press it, as well as you do get a little information icon that'll sort of help you figure out what each mode does, and it even has helpful hints. Not many cars do this, and this has been really, really helpful because a lot of the times it's like sport, individual, custom, selfish mode, and it's like, what is it? Well, this actually tells you right ahead, so you can actually pause the video and read if you would like. Cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. It's a little snug, a little bit snugger than I would want, but at the end of the day, that's a pass. Center console with nothing in it, and the seats. The seats have been comfortable enough for all of the miles that I've done in the vehicle, and I'm pretty happy with it. And of course, as mentioned, the seats are heated, ventilated, power, and memory. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, we're in the back seat of the new Chevy Equinox from 2025, and a couple of things to note. First of all, we do have a center console with 2 cup holders. We do get LED lights, which is very, very nice, and we get heated seats back here. But I'm 5'11", I'm not a small guy. This is my driving position. I have probably about 6 to 8 inches from my kneecaps to the seat. I have quite a bit of headroom up above me. I fit very, very comfortably back here. That is huge to see, and I've always really enjoyed this size of vehicle, like the Honda Passport, the Mazda CX-5, vehicles like that, because they're not trying to squeeze a 3rd row in the back so it doesn't compromise the 2nd row, so I get plenty of space, and we still get good trunk space, which we'll talk about in a second. So no crazy features beyond that. We have seat back pockets on both seats, which is kind of nice to see, but let's hop into the very back and talk about the tailgate and cargo space. Right around the back of the Equinox RS, there's a little button down here, and it does have a power tailgate, which is very nice to see. Once we are back here, you will find the remnants of my giant pumpkin that I recently bought, but nothing too crazy. We do have a 12-volt outlet over here, nice LED lights, and we could pull this up for some added storage, and we do get a spare tire down there as well. Not a whole lot of new cars come with spare tires anymore, so very, very nice to see that with the Equinox. Other than that, nothing too crazy. I would have liked to have seen maybe some pull handles like here to lower the 2nd row of seats, but it's just right there. I mean, you know, don't be lazy. But other than that, that's the rear cargo space. Hit the button. It does take a second. It lets you get out of the way, and then it will go right down just like that. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really like the look of the new Equinox. This is one of the best features, if not the best feature of the 2025. This is what the 2024 looked like. This is what the 2025 looks like, and as you can see, it got a very macho, very healthy, very corn-fed, strong upgrade, and I love that. I really, really enjoy the way that this looks. Walking out to it every day has been a treat. And I was at the pumpkin patch the other day, we'll touch on that, and this guy was just staring at it, and I could read his lips say, "Is that an Equinox?" So people really enjoy the looks, and I am in that category as well, and the Lakeshore Blue Metallic is a very nice color. With all of that being said, what are my final thoughts on the 2025 Chevy Equinox RS? Well, it's good. It's a good car. I wouldn't say it's the best car ever made, but it's also far from terrible. And that's, I think, what Chevy was trying to do with it. As I mentioned earlier, they know that this is a volume seller. It's hard to leave your house here in America and not see a Chevy Equinox of the previous generation. And so they know that they have that weight on their shoulders, that these are going to be everywhere. So they have to be mass producible. One single engine. Easy. 1.5 liter turbo. I wish it was the 2 liter, but that's what they chose. It's easy to drive, it's easy to see out of, it's a good size, and I think it checks all of the boxes. I wish that it did get more power, as I mentioned, because on the highway it is not great, but as a point A, point B machine, I think the Equinox has always been good at that, and the Equinox continues to be that, but now it's just handsomer. It's more visually appealing than it's ever been, and so they've kept the same recipe. The recipe didn't need to be changed, but the looks needed to be updated, and they did that in a very healthy way. I took it to the pumpkin patch, and we got this giant pumpkin. It was perfect for that. We took it out to the Halloween parties. If you're watching this on the time of release, this week was Halloween. My girlfriend and I dressed up as Bob Ross and a painting. We took it to that. It was easy peasy on the highway, easy to park at my friend's very congested townhome community. Wasn't too big, wasn't overhanging the spots. I was able to park it on the street. It was a background character, but a necessary one at that. And so while it might not be on my Christmas list this year, I like it. I think the Equinox is adequate enough for what you need it to do. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Chevy for loaning me this Equinox for the last 7 days, as well as G. Schmidt for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of the vehicle, and of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.